So welcome everybody. This is our February online meetup here at Continual AI. And well, we are back to talk about one of our open source projects. And the last meetup was on our open source project was about Continual AI Wiki, while today we will talk about the Colab project. So as you can see here, we will have Vincenzo Lo Monaco, which I guess all of you are acquainted with because he's the president of Continual AI, and he will give us an idea of our collaborative projects and of course also Colab, which is our main theme for this meetup. And then we will have Antonio Carta, which will talk about Colab in more details as a collection of continual learning tutorials and demo running, of course, on Google Collaboratory. So without further ado, I will give the stage to Vincenzo, and hope you guys will enjoy our very good project. So please, Vincenzo.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for this very kind introduction. And yeah, I will just very briefly introduce the projects that we thought would be like interesting to have in Continual AI as a community. But of course, you know, this is an open quest to find new ways of disseminate continual learning and to find a way to collaborate more together. So it's truly up to you what you want to propose with the Continual AI. We are always looking for people that want to push new projects within the organization. So feel free to propose new ones. You know, I mean, we don't want to stick with just those. But well, I will just present to you the actual ones that are running today. So let me share my screen now. Oops. Oh, this one. All right, you should be able to see the slide. First of all, I wanted to just give you an heads up on the Continual AI Lab. So essentially within the Continual AI organization, we thought it would be nice to have like a group of people, like a distributed team that could handle somehow and keep, you know, track, maintain these collaborative projects. So the idea of the Continual AI Lab is to create such team as an observatory or like a team which can have as a goal the one of supporting the development of open source projects and tools that can make the life of a continual learning researcher easier. And yeah, so this group is open, of course, to new people that want to contribute or to lead a different project within Continual AI. So feel free to check out the official website, continualai.org/lab, to learn more about this. So essentially, at the moment, we have four main projects at Continual AI. So the first one is the wiki that Andrea Cossu is actually leading, which is one of the first projects we actually thought about within Continual AI, and essentially is a shared knowledge base for continual learning. You'll be able to find at the moment in the wiki, I mean, several links and resources that you can use for learning more about the but also. Oh, sorry, I hear a lot of the return. Okay, now it's over. So yeah, you can essentially find a lot of resources and links that are useful when you are actually want to learn about the topic, but also maybe you want to check the state of the literature and the, I don't know, the tutorials and the workshops that have been proposed, or, you know, maybe some more business-oriented, let's say, knowledge. So the startups that are active on the topic, or you know, blog posts for more practical applications. So I really invite you to check it out. It's a very comprehensive effort to try to make a shared knowledge base about the topic. So we are actually also trying to make it even better. And as for now, you, for example, can see in the research page a nice way to search for papers with tags and already prepare, let's say, summaries of those. And we are, I mean, Andrea can describe the recent effort on this, and we are trying to make it even better. And the Colab project instead is essentially a series of continual learning notebooks that can be run directly on Google Collaborate. And we thought it would be nice to have those as well, because essentially it's a way to make it like very easy for even newcomers and new bites, you know, to learn about this topic and to see how easy it is to implement some strategies and some ideas in this kind of compute platform. So up to now, no one actually pushed for the development of this project, but we are lucky enough now to have Antonio Carta on board that is going to lead the effort and is going to describe to you the current state today of the project. Then we have another couple of projects open. The Medium publication, which is essentially a collection of blog posts on Medium about continual learning. And even in this case, we need maybe someone that can actually write something every now and then, but also and essentially ask for contributions for people that already publish maybe a blog post on Medium, but also people that we know that are great in continual learning and would like to share their ideas with this like less formal way. And finally, we have the forum in which, I mean, I think it would be very, very useful for the community. It is actually right now, but it may be even more so in the future. It is like this course platform where you can essentially create your own posts and you can comment on those existing. It is a nice way to discuss and to essentially keep track of all the idea, the discussion that we have within Continual AI. Because I remember you that after a time, you won't be able to see the messages on this Slack platform, which at the moment is like would be too much to support in terms of financing that Continual AI can offer in terms of more premium plans. So essentially, we rely on the forum to keep track and archive the discussion, the interesting discussions that we have on the Slack platform. And so please use the forum if you want to ask your own questions and look for actually topics that are related maybe to your questions, because there you probably will find already someone that has already discussed on something that may be interesting to you. So yeah, I just wanted to conclude to say a big thank to all the people that already contributed to this, let's say, collaborative effort. And of course, we are always looking for new members of this lab to actually work on the meta research, let's say, of continual learning. So thank you so much for your time and for your attention now. Please send a private message or an email to me or Andrea if you want to learn maybe better how you can help based on your background.
Great. Thank you, Vincenzo. Thank you very much. And yeah, basically, these are our open projects right now. So really feel free to ask us anything. We really need your help also in implementing things, in discussing things. I mean, we are a community, right? So we should build this knowledge together. I guess that's the major advance in grouping people together. And so then the next here is Antonio, which will talk about a specific project, the Colab 1, which Vincenzo already introduced. So please, Antonio. And at the end, we will have, I hope long, but I mean, you decide how long, debriefing phase in which you can ask things and anything really. Just pick up if you want. Please, Antonio, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm sharing my screen now so that you can see the slides. So can you see the slides?
Yep.
Okay. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. This is supposed to be an open discussion, so you don't have to wait until the end, but I have a single screen, so if you write on the chat, just someone ping me so that I can look at the question.
We will interrupt you, Antonio.
Okay, so I'm presenting you the Colab 1.0, or at least the roadmap towards Colab 1.0, which will be the Continual AI collection of continual learning tutorials and demos ready to run on Google Collaboratory. The basic idea is that you have this set of tutorials and demos that you can take and easily run with a single click. And this is supposed to be a community-driven project, so you are all invited to contribute with your own notebooks or suggestions about notebook to add, topics that are missing, or any other relevant feedback. The main advantage, I think, of this kind of resource is that you can give some quick resource for beginners in a tutorial style, so that they can start to experiment with code in a really easy way, and without losing a lot of time with the details of the experimental scenario, which can be overwhelming at first, or even if they are not really complex, they take a lot of time to code if you don't have anything to start. But also for more experienced people, it may be useful to do some quick prototype. You want to test baseline strategy on one of the standard scenarios that most of the people use, and you just check the Colab and you can get your results in as quickly as possible. The project is already on GitHub, and I think the first commit were from 2018, so it's quite old, but we are looking to revamp it and give it new life. I'm going to show you now. Oh, okay, I have to share the browser first. So you can see the browser now. This is one of the Colab introduction, a gentle introduction to continual learning in PyTorch. As you can see, it's using PyTorch 0.4, so it's quite old. And in fact, when I tried to run it on Colab, it gave me an error because it was unable to download all the library, and this is something that we have to fix as soon as possible. And the main idea behind this notebook is to introduce you to a standard continual learning scenario by using the MNIST benchmark. So it starts by installing the libraries, check if you have the GPUs. Now I'm running it locally because I can't use Colab, but so it can't use any GPUs. You import all the libraries that you need. And then you import the Continual AI package. You clone the package in your local folder so that you have all the utilities. For example, the utilities that you need to run to download MNIST. Then you load MNIST and print all the global statistic, number of samples, shape size, and so on. And we have we can look at the samples of the data, so just a couple of images, and define a simple model. Here we have a simple convolutional network with 2 convolution layer and 2 feed-forward one, just as a simple baseline that we can use to train our continual learning model. Next, we define a basic training loop. And you can see that the training loop here, it's really basic. You have you don't even use, for example, data loaders. You just take the entire training data loaded in on the GPUs, and you take a slice of it to get the mini batch. And you train the model on all the data here. So you are not doing continual learning yet. And then we have a similar function for testing. And we can take create an instance of our model and optimize it using our train and test function. And now the notebook goes on to explore the questions of how we can, pose some questions which can be useful to a beginner, like the kind of network that you can use to improve your accuracy, or what happens when you change convolution with fully connected layers. So this is really beginner-oriented, just to start to pick your mind with these basic questions. Then we introduce the permuted NIST scenario, where you take, this is the standard scenario where you take NIST digits and you permute the pixels. We create an instance of the data where you have the pixel permuted, and you can see in the image the 0, the original image, and the image with the scrambled pixels, where you can't recognize the digits anymore. And now you can train your model on this new permuted data. And, well, you can see that once you train the model on your permuted data, you reach a 94% accuracy on the first task. However, you have the catastrophic forgetting. So the previous task is completely forgotten. And this is to introduce the user to the concept of catastrophic forgetting. And then, the notebook goes on to explore some really basic implementation of continual learning strategies. So we have the naive strategies, where you just train continually, but without having any kind of mitigation for the catastrophic forgetting. We have the rehearsal, where you save a subset of samples to rehearse the previous task, and the elastic weight consolidation. The interesting thing is that you can take all these basic strategies and use them in your own code after you have followed the tutorial. So I'm just going to quickly show you the basic strategies. For example, here we have the rehearsal strategy, where you combine the data from the current task with the sample saved from the previous one. And again, as you can see, the code is really a crude basic implementation, so that the user can focus just on the high-level idea. And then we have the elastic weight consolidation one. So just to show you the other notebook that we already have, I'm going on the official repository here. There is a small README, and then you can see that we have just a notebook for the rehearsal strategy. the Hello World, which is actually an empty notebook, the Intro to Continual Learning, which is the notebook that I have just shown you, an intro to deep learning frameworks for users that may not be familiar with deep learning frameworks in general, and finally, an intro to generative replay. As you can see, right now we have just these 4 basic notebooks, and most of these are quite old. They use PyTorch 0.4, so they may need to be updated, especially if you want them to work on Colab as they are. Now, I think the next milestones for this project are, first of all, to update the old notebook, and this is just making sure that the notebook works with the new PyTorch version, and also that the notebooks follow can run on Colab without any problem. Then we should provide some general contribution guidelines to encourage external contribution from other Continual AI members. And finally, I think that we need to add, identify some notebooks that may be useful to add. For example, there are some common questions that appear over and over on Slack and on the forum. And it would be really useful to identify a couple of them and create notebooks based on them, so that whenever a new user starts to ask this question, we can just point them out to the notebook and have a reference that is updated and well curated. Also, another common notebook that we can make are the ones about continual learning scenarios, because I think this is another pain point when you start to do continual learning, because you may not be familiar with all the specific language, since also most of the papers have different languages. So having a set of notebooks that standardize this language or helps you to translate the different notation can be really helpful for newcomers. And then, of course, demos and tutorials about popular continual learning strategies, such as the ones that we already have, like the replay, the EWC, but also other strategies that are right now not present in the notebooks. And then finally, of course, once we have identified all these notebooks to add, we have to actually implement them. And for example, here are some of the notebooks that I think may be useful in general. These are a primer on continual learning scenarios and notation, a sort of tutorial where you explain step by step to a newcomer how the different notation introduced in the several papers translates to one another, and then present the most common continual learning scenarios, such as the common MNIST flavors, the permuted NIST, the split NIST, the rotated NIST, and so on. Then some implementation detail like multitask and single incremental task. And for beginners users, it may be especially important to show the actual experiments where you can notice the difference between making the assumption of having task labels and the scenarios where you don't have this assumption, and it's much more difficult to get high performance. Then the intro to replay methods, like the one that we already have, and regularization methods, which are, I think, the two of the big categories of continual learning methods, and also the ones that are maybe easy to implement in a simple notebook. While other strategies may be useful, but are more complex, maybe to adapt to our notebook styles. And of course, many others that will come out in the future. So if you want to contribute to this project, you can, first of all, follow the Slack Colab channel. And we will post all the updates on that channel. You can go on GitHub, check what we have already available, check if you see any issues, you can open an issue and we will address it as soon as possible. And finally, you can propose new notebooks on the GitHub or on Slack, or add new notebooks with pull requests. As a general contribution guideline, I think most of the notebooks should be tutorials or demo style of general interest for the continual learning community. And I mean, of course, the Colab repository should not be limited to that. But this is, I think, the main objective of the notebook. In general, we should have a simple source code where we have large discussions in the text, in the markdown text, so that it's easy to follow for beginners and it's easy to understand, and comments that allows everyone to follow the code. And finally, I think the running time of most of these notebooks should be kept to a minimum, because if you want to do a tutorial or check a quick implementation of strategy, you don't want to wait hours waiting for a cell to finish training the model. So I think this is also something to keep in mind when you create a new notebook. Finally, what are, I'm asking you of the community, what are the basic notebooks that we should provide, such as tutorials, example of best practices, scenarios classification, or shortcoming of common strategies. In general, everything that you can identify that is of general interest, just write it on Colab so that we can keep a list of the things that we need to add to the Colab repository. So if you have any ideas or comments about the project, now it's the time to propose it.
Thank you, Antonio. So I would like also to say that Shima is another contributor which couldn't be here for this meetup, but there is already some people involved, and of course we hope to get in touch with a lot more in the next months. So I really appreciate the informal aspect of this project, because I mean, we often host different reading groups and meetups also, in which we present new papers. And so the discussion, I think, often is driven by these new contributions. So these being papers, it's not easy to keep the discussion to a basic level. Because, I mean, if you're discussing a paper, you're discussing novelty. And so you're basically assuming many things about the underground world of continual learning. So I think this project is is very important for our community, also to get people engaged in continual learning, but also to not just focus also ourselves to the novelty aspect of doing research and so on and so forth. So I think that going back to the roots of problems and how it was the first time you implemented a strategy is also kind of helpful in understanding also the path you have taken, because now you are able to implement such things. And so another thing I want to add is something for the future, of course, but it would be nice also to have translations of the upcoming notebooks. So, okay, English is of course the standard language for scientific research, but I mean, why not having, since we are many actually from many different places, it would be nice to have also notebook translations to help any kind of people really to get into continual learning. Okay, yeah, that was just my 2 cents on it. Well, I guess we can expand the discussion if anyone has any comments or suggestions, something you don't like about the project or anything, please. This is the time to write in the chat, or also please open your mic and speak.
Yeah, I wanted to ask like a more technical question, if you can answer, guys. When I helped, develop some of these notebooks, and now you can see them. Some of them are broken, as Antonio said, but it's not totally clear to me how we can make sure that these notebooks are reproducible somehow, or they, let's say, are easy to maintain. Are there any, let's say, way, straightforward way to do so? Because from what I know, like Google Collaboratory keeps changing packages, versions, and there's no way to have like a Conda environment in there. Or do you have more experience in this? Do you think we can provide a way to make like more, standalone and reproducible, or there's no hope for that?
Yeah, I mean, in general, we can provide separate Conda environments with all the specific libraries that we use. So using fixed versions of the library, and also you can set the random seed so that the computation is deterministic and you always get the same results. But I think it's also important to make sure that the notebook works as well on the last version of the libraries. I mean, at least on PyTorch, because I mean, it's good if it works on the version which you use to develop with, so the 0.4, for example. But if you can't use it for the current version, it's much less useful for the final user, I think.
Yeah, it was just to not force us to keep maintaining them, at the fastest pace of every possible library that we use. So, I mean, the idea would be, of course, to update them as quickly as possible, but at the same time, I mean, we shouldn't be forced to do so. That's my idea.
Yeah, I think that this is a problem, of course, because if something changes, we lose all notebooks. But the idea of the notebooks is also to be based on as less packages and libraries as possible, because we want to explain things in a simple way. So if we exploit PyTorch and NumPy and something like that, I think we are kind of safe, because if PyTorch makes a breaking change in the code, it's going to be a problem for lots of people. So I think it's less likely that PyTorch or NumPy will produce a breaking change which is not backward compatible. But this not ensure, of course, that the problem is solved, because maybe you use a library for I don't know, quadratic optimization to implement gradient episodic memory, and that library changes, and you lose basically all the gradient episodic memory code. And this is just a random example, not at all taken from personal experience. And so yeah, the problem is there, I guess. Does anyone have any other comments, solutions? Oh, okay, there is a shout out to us. So Arkit, just want to thank the people of Continual AI for creating this wonderful community. Well, thank you very much. Oh, I also enjoy the fact that you find the wiki useful. Yeah, I mean, for people which are just getting started, I think that the wiki and Colab will be very, very useful. But also, if someone wants to see a strategy implemented from scratch, and it has never seen the strategy before, I mean, you don't have to be a newcomer to use these tools. So thank you very much for your appreciation. And
yeah, I mean, for me, it was the Colab notebook was quite useful when I started doing experiment on continual learning. I think it was one of the first resources that I looked for, and there I found out basic replay implementation, EWC, and some of those things. For example, replay strategy is quite easy, but there are lots of details that where if you don't have a point of reference to compare you to, you don't really know what the best practice is. And having a point where you can go and look, okay, so this is what people in the community are doing can be really helpful. Also, maybe if not for replay, for more complex strategies like EWC, where we have to take the gradient and it's much more involved on the implementation wise, it's definitely helpful for someone who has never implemented it before.
Yeah, and it is also a way to get in touch with Continual AI, because also in my case, the process was something like that. So I looked for an implementation, I found Colab, and then I found Continual AI. This was basically the process. Well, I have another point. I mean, if someone has solutions to these problems, please speak up, because notebooks are very, very good to disseminate textual information mixed with code, the images, and so on and so forth. But they are a pain in something to do versioning. So if I want to keep different versions or to update notebooks, I mean, as soon as you change the outputs, it will change it will push to GitHub a new version, because it will see new changes. So you have to remove all these outputs, and this is not enough in most of the cases. So I don't know if you guys, anyone has ever experienced has ever tried a tool to do versioning on notebooks. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, this is going to be. I mean, we could maintain two different versions, like a simple Python script, and a Colab, a notebook version, but
yeah, no, it's totally possible to take a Jupyter notebook and extract the Python code. And this is, for example, there are tools to do that automatically, but also when you use PyCharm, for example, you can have it does it for you automatically. And I think JetBrains is doing a new IDE specific for notebooks and data science. So they are working on this problem. But regarding the version control, I don't think there's a good solution. There is a tool to do the diff. So there are some tools that takes the horrible diff provided by Git, which is unreadable to a human when you use notebooks, and give you a human readable diff for notebook specifics.
Okay.
Yeah, this is something we have to think about it. And also, Angelo asked in the chat. Maybe Antonio, you can answer this.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Right. At the moment, most of the notebooks are designed to be run on Colab, so they install the needed packages on the first cells. But I totally agree that we should provide a separate environment with the libraries so that you can install them with a single command to be able to run them locally. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, the question was about a requirements file with software installed automatically from requirements file with pip. And yeah, I also agree that we should provide both ways to play with notebooks. If you don't want to download the code and install libraries, you just go to Colab. But if you need to play a little bit more with the notebooks, you should be able also to run them locally. So you have to have the appropriate libraries installed in your system. Yeah. Any other points, suggestions?
Yeah, something that I was thinking I would really like is like a sort of a curriculum of tutorials within Colab, because I think that most of us here are somehow researchers, and I mean, even though you already know about continual learning, all these details that we discussed before, I mean, you should probably have like in the near future, like an assistant or a PhD or a new student asking for a dissertation. We still work within the, let's say, academia world in which you have to somehow rely on some resources that you can refer to, so that the people the person that is going to learn about continual learning is somehow it can be made up to speed without reading a complex paper or a list of papers. I'm sure that you already do this. Like you send an email saying, okay, you have to read this, and that. Yeah, but it's much less useful to that student instead of having like a tutorial on continual learning, which is not available, I think, at the moment online. So it would be nice to have to work on creating these notebooks, but with already an idea of sort of a series of tutorials, right? So that we can say, okay, please refer to the Colab project and read this sequence of tutorials, and we are sure that at least reading through these will be enough to have a general, let's say, idea of what continual learning is about. All the benchmarks may be available, all the tools, all the main strategies and approaches, with this kind of basic structuring of the tutorials. I don't know what you think about this.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think the end goal of the project will be something like what you are saying, where you have a structured set of tutorial and something that you can point out to people which are familiar maybe with machine learning in general and PyTorch, let's say, but they need to get up to speed on the continual learning part. So you send them this link, they go through the tutorial, and they have a basic understanding that they need to integrate with the research papers. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I wanted just to stress the fact that essentially this project is important for everyone here. Just that if we do that together, we could have like all this material created for everyone and maintained for everyone, and everyone would benefit from it. Just wanted to stress out this.
Yeah, I also agree with this. So Jeremy, in the chat, I don't know if you can open your mic. You're free to to do so.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, there's as we're talking about teaching and opening that as a curriculum and notebook. I don't know if you guys are aware of Neuromatch Academy. So it's basically an online summer school teaching neuroscience and machine learning and application of machine learning to neuroscience mostly. They use notebook as a way to have an interactive learning, so a reverse learning way, where you practice on examples using a notebook. So, and they are making a new course for next summer specifically on deep learning. And I think maybe they could be interested in a specific continual learning maybe lesson of a couple of notebooks specifically on how to use continual learning in different settings. That's something we can ask, or I can ask, and then maybe we can. That can be a way to also have those notebooks be useful to a broader community.
Yeah, I guess that's the main advantage of enlarging the community. Basically, yeah, we'll get in touch with different students and researchers from different topics, and that's the beauty also of continual learning, since it is a very interdisciplinary field. It's kind of good having these ramifications of continual learning. Yeah.
So just tell me if you guys are interested. I can probably ask and see if they're interested. And then I think that was taught to like 2,000 students last summer or something like that. So
yeah, I mean the Neuromatch. I mean, not only the academy, but the whole. I think they have an association now.
Yeah, it's an LLC, which is basically Neuromatch Conference and Neuromatch Academy.
Yeah,
it's exactly an entity now.
The work they are doing it's totally, I mean, it's great. It is totally aligned also with kind of the vision of Continual AI. So we should, we should definitely talk with these guys.
Yep, sounds good.
Great, thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I didn't know about Neuromatch. I'm going to look them into more detail, but I totally agree with Andrea and Vincenzo.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. Okay, I believe Angelo said, I believe one nice idea to encourage people to get involved with continual learning would be creating Medium posts for each Colab tutorial. Oh, okay, yeah. So this could be also a way to foster the productivity of our Medium project. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, maybe Medium posts are easier to share outside. If you want to share them on, I don't know, Hacker News, Reddit, this kind of social media, it's much easier with a Medium post than using a Colab link to the notebook.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is also a good way to spread the continual learning word in Reddit, for example, which is quite a popular social media right now, for other reasons, of course. So yeah, thank you, Angelo. This is a very good idea. So you see, it's very easy to generate new ideas if you are many. Anything left you want to say? Anyone?
Hello. Hi.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah. Just wanted to thank you guys for. I mean, I just found out about Continual AI recently, and it's really cool. I started out with the intro to Continual Learning notebook, and it was, I guess, just a coincidence. I saw also Continuum, the new library that like automatically loads the data for you, and I like re-implemented intro to Continual Learning notebook with the Continuum like library, and I was wondering if that's of interest to share with the like broader community, if people, because the data loading process for like generating permutations, let's say, of like MNIST can be like quite cumbersome if you want to do it by hand. And so using this library, it makes it really easy for like people to skip the manual process of generating different data sets and just allows them to engage directly with the strategies of continual learning. So yeah, would that be of interest to share on like continual AI, or like is the philosophy more of kind of what you guys were saying before, of like keeping it really simple, bare bones, not requiring many different packages or not having too many different dependencies? So what's the philosophy of I guess having these notebooks?
Okay, yeah, I think right now we are just starting. I mean, not starting, but we don't have much. So I think it's best to focus on the most general stuff, and let's see, don't force to use a single library. So maybe we can have some notebooks about specific projects, but not let's say we cannot convert all the notebooks to a specific data loading mechanism, let's say.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree with that. But just like, yeah, I guess like as an additional like subcategory of like, oh, here's another way that you can do it. But yeah, I get that. Like the first goal, especially if the goal is to expand the community, is to make it as generalizable as possible. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. See, is there any pre-built plan for the next Colab tutorial to be developed? Placing the goals in the project. Okay, so I'm right now. I did just this quick presentation to you to brainstorm the ideas, but I will start posting the issues on GitHub and putting out the calls on the Colab Slack channel. So just follow the Slack channel, and I will soon get back to you with a list of things that you can do to help. Anything that you want to do, it would be really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, because also, I mean, this is an old project in some ways, or started quite some time ago, and we would really like to to get it started. But the problem is that, I mean, we need people. That's the main motivation, because yeah, you can make a contribution once in a while, but in order to build a more structured plan, also a more structured project, we need to parallelize the work among people, basically. And of course, we are we are an organization which does not pay anyone to build these projects yet, because if you finance us with a large contribution, we may allocate some of your millions to people also. That would be great if someone has one spare. But yeah, that's the main gist of it. So if you also want to contribute, just try, and then we will see how it goes. Oh yeah, yes, thank you, Angelo. That's the. Okay.
Hey, yeah, so I'm definitely open to contributing. Where would how would I go about looking like where to contribute, and are there any, I guess we're referring to this to the, what is Slack, or?
So are you on Slack?
I am on Slack, yes, yeah.
You should be able to see the Colab channel.
Okay. Yes, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will post it there once I have an update. I mean, at some point the next week, let's say. Otherwise, on the GitHub for the Colab project, it's I will start posting the separate issues for each point that we need to do.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll be checking these two places.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that also, Antonio, I think that if you agree, we could be even like very open to completely new notebooks, right? So if someone wants to contribute directly in an easy way without waiting for the issues to be open, I mean, the easiest way for me would be to like add a new notebook as a PR, so a new pull request open, and then you, Antonio, me, and other people can just take a look at that and give feedback. So that's the easier ways to contribute, I think, even if you don't have a roadmap, because I think I think that many notebooks, I mean, the more the better, I think, first of all. And then also, I mean, we can like have some notebooks like in preparation that are already available, and then we can define like our curriculum or more, let's say, refined notebooks that we propose like with to be read first, right? But then, you know, that we can always have like a larger range of notebooks that are there and are available to anyone if they want to explore more.
Yes. I mean, probably I was not clear about this point. Of course, you are encouraged to submit notebook that you think are relevant or anything that you think may be useful for the community. I mean, I have, of course, I will open issues just to let's say about things that I think that need to be done. But of course, this is a community driven project in the end, and I think the final repository should have the idea of the entire community. So not just what I think is best for the
great.
Okay. I think we almost cover the questions, and I don't think there is any other insight on this. So thank you for being here. This was basically a call to action. Help us in building and maintaining this project, because it's easy to build things. It's harder to maintain things. So thank you very much also for the attention and for your contributions. They are really helpful. And of course, see you on the next meetup. And just check Slack and all other platforms and media we have to stay updated with the next events. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrea and Antonio.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all very much.